2. Check 2. Hello. Hello. One, two. Hello. Good afternoon. Sorry, good afternoon. I can't hear the voice, it's low. Good afternoon. All right, a little more. Good afternoon. All right, thank you. Welcome to TV3 Executive Theater. This is a live presentation. We're going in just 3 minutes. Once we start the show, no one is supposed to be walking about. If you need something, Nana is there, our Rastaman is there. You just see him and then he will direct you, whatever you want. So once we start the show, you're not supposed to be walking about, all right? And please, anytime our speakers are done talking, let's give them a round of applause, all right? So let's just try. Let's assume I'm one of them. All right, thank you very much. All right, so exactly, but I want a lot of energy when they start the show. All right, are we okay? Any question before we start the show? Any question? Phones are supposed to be on silent, please. Or vibration. Okay. Okay. Okay, so digital, what do you think? What time can they start? Facebook, I heard people are waiting, so what time? Okay, I heard we are live. All right, any other question? 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 No, okay. Any question? Done? All right, so for our speakers, anytime you want to talk, there will be a speaker here. So you make sure it's working before you start talking. So we'll push the podium to the middle. So when you climb, you make sure you check the speaker, and then, sorry, the microphone, and then you start talking. All right? Are we okay? Is everybody okay for a smooth production? All right. So no question, right? All right, let's try the applause again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, applause! All right, thank you very much.
If there's a speaker there, do I still use this one?
Yeah. Okay. No, this is yours personally.
Oh.
And that's for the speakers.
Oh,
So
okay.
you take your everywhere you go.
Because when I'm going up, I could start talking.
No, you just, sometimes you can start talking. Then once, don't worry, I'll talk to you. Once you're stable, then you go on the, so you have to face the camera before you start talking.
Voiceovers and video based on a wide variety of Pan-African.
All right, so quick one. Our ushers, please make sure you help the speakers for us very quickly. All right? Thank you very much.
5 at 1 p.m. GMT as it launches the virtual exhibition. What was it about the continent of Africa that made it possible for humans to emerge over 3 million years ago? And how did Africans find it important to create art from the dawn of time? The answers to these and more can be found in an exploration of the art of African civilizations going back to the beginning of time. Come join the Pan-African Heritage Museum on May 5 as it launches the first part of its virtual exhibition. The innovative exhibitions of the Digital Museum provide immersive, interactive experiences through a combination of 3D imagery, text, voiceovers, and video based on a wide variety of Pan-African artifacts, written, oral, and expressive sources. Come join the Pan-African Heritage Museum online on May 5 at 1 p.m. GMT as it launches the virtual exhibition. What was it about the continent of Africa that made it possible for humans to emerge over 3 million years ago? And how did Africans find it important to create art from the dawn of time? The answers to these and more can be found in an exploration of the art of African civilizations going back to the beginning of time. Come join the Pan-African Heritage Museum on May 5 as it launches the first part of its virtual exhibition. The innovative exhibitions of the Digital Museum provide immersive, interactive experiences through a combination of 3D imagery, text, voiceovers, and video based on a wide variety of Pan-African artifacts. Launches the virtual exhibition. What was it about the continent of Africa that made it possible for humans to emerge over 3 million years ago? And how did Africans find it important to create art from the dawn of time? The answers to these and more can be found in an exploration of the art of African civilizations going back to the beginning of time. Come join the Pan-African Heritage Museum on May 5 as it launches the first part of its virtual exhibition. The innovative exhibitions of the Digital Museum provide immersive, interactive experiences through a combination of 3D imagery, text, voiceovers, and video based on a wide variety of Pan-African artifacts, written, oral, and expressive sources. Come join the Pan-African Heritage Museum online on May 5 at 1 p.m. GMT as it launches the virtual exhibition.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. Winani Tebele. I'm Chief Curator of the Botswana National Museum, but I'm here in my own capacity as a member of the curatorial board of the Pan-African Heritage Museum. As you all know, the Pan-African Heritage Museum is the new sensation in the Pan-African World Museum community. The brainchild of Ghana's former minister, Honorable Kojo Yanka. The museum was registered as an international non-profit making, non-governmental organization dedicated to the cultural preservation and curation of the rich heritage of Africa and the people of African descent. We aim to create a site of memory as well as a site of pilgrimage in Ghana to enable the world to find in our space adequate heritage material for education, for healing and inspiration, for connecting with the past and finding the missing link in our cultures and histories. Today is UNESCO's declared Africa World Heritage Day, and we could not have done it better than to collaborate with UNESCO to make this day special throughout the world. We chose this day to join UNESCO to emphasize the need for people of the world, particularly the youth, to know more about and be proud of their heritage so that they play more confident roles in their various endeavors. What is even more unique about our project is the fact that this is the first time ever that a museum is going digital before the physical construction. So today, while preparatory works are ongoing for the physical building to start, the Pan-African Heritage Museum, proudly joined by UNESCO and a host of well-wishers, stakeholders, friends of the museum, announced the launch of a rich digital experience. It is now my pleasure to invite our illustrious chairperson of the International Board of Trustees, Dr. Joseph Silva Jr., to speak to us from Atlanta, Georgia. I'll hand over to Mr. Silva.
Silver Senior, and I'm chair of the International Board of the Pan-African Heritage World Museum. It is my great honor to welcome you to this space today as we celebrate the opening of the Digital Museum. Many hours of hard work and dedication has gone into the development of this digital museum. It is our great pleasure to ask you to browse the museum and to see the artifacts, to see the history, and to understand the culture and the people. This space will give you a glimpse of what the physical museum will be like when it's finalized and when the construction has been completed. It is our hope that construction could be finished in late 2023 or early 2024. The actual Pan-African Heritage World Museum is going to be located in Ghana, West Africa. But until we get an opportunity to actually be in that physical space, this digital museum will give us the opportunity to link together the past and the present. Please enjoy yourself as you move through the digital museum and embrace the history of our great people. We're not only celebrating the folk in Africa, but folk from all over the diaspora. Thank you very much for spending time with us to celebrate the opening of the Pan-African Heritage World Museum. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Dr. Silva. Now I will present to you our 89-year-old Sarge, the chairman of the advisory board. This is just to let you know the kind of brains behind the museum. He's an academic of high repute, a professor of African religion, African philosophy, and African culture. Professor Kofi Osari Opoku is here to officially welcome us. Thank you.
Hearty welcome to all of you in every corner of the world to this undeniably historic event of the launch of Africa's first digital museum, of the Pan-African Heritage Museum, that magnificently showcases the enduring greatness of Africa's cultural heritage. Our immense gratitude to UNESCO, first, for declaring May 5th every year African World Heritage Day, to justly and appropriately celebrate the continent's unique cultural and natural heritage, and secondly, for graciously collaborating with the Pan-African Heritage Museum to bring about this memorable event today. We also appreciatively acknowledge the participation of the UNESCO representative in Ghana, Mr. Abdurrahmane Diallo, the representative of Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, Asantehene, the Asokorehene Nana Susubribi, Dr. SKB Asante, International Civil Servant, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambas, and the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture of Ghana, Dr. Ibrahim Mohamed Awal, and other honorable dignitaries. For centuries, it appeared that the luster of the African heritage had been dimmed by other historical events. But as our ancestors said, the truth that went out in the morning came back in the evening. And the Pan-African Heritage Museum, whose digital version is being launched today, aptly represents the truth that has come back in the evening. For the first time, a museum that will display the history, arts, culture, and achievements of Africans, both on the continent and in the diaspora, is being built on African soil. And we have formally embarked on this lofty and monumental enterprise because our ancestors told us that until the lions have their own historians, tales of hunting will always glorify the hunter. The hunters have tried without success to tell our story to glorify themselves at our expense. But it is the whole world and the entire community of humans on planet Earth that have had to pay an incalculable price for this colossal error. With the Pan-African Heritage Museum, we are poignantly telling our own story. But our own story is also the sublime story of the beginning of humanity on this ancient and venerable continent. It was here that human life began, and the progress of humanity in every facet of life has its deep-lying roots right here at the cradle of world civilization. Those who thought they were excluding Africa were only factoring out a significant part of themselves. For Africa is indispensably fundamental to the understanding of humanity, and we cannot adequately understand the world without Africa. In building the Pan-African Heritage Museum, Africans with steely determination are assiduously stuffing the pillow of ignorance and deliberate misrepresentation of Africa with the pillowcase of empowering and deep fact knowledge. And the truth about Africa that was seemingly crushed to the ground has risen again to empower Africans to tell their own story with unquestionably spontaneous reliance on truth and open them to new vistas of ennobling consciousness. Again, welcome to the digital launch of the Pan-African Heritage Museum. Thank you.
You heard it all from our professor, the learned professor. A simple clue that the world has so much to learn from this museum. I must now give the floor to one of the foremost supporters of our museum project, Mr. Abdurrahmani Diallo, our guest speaker, has been very inspirational, and today he will tell us more about why UNESCO is so strongly behind the Pan-African Heritage Museum, particularly in relation to the Africa World Heritage Day. Over to him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Winani Tebele. Good afternoon, everybody. Your Excellency, representative of the Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Ibn Chambas, former Special Representative and Head of UN Office for West Africa, Honorable Kojo Yanka, Executive Chairman of Pan-African World Heritage Museum, Prof. Kofi Asare Opoku, Chairman, Dr. Joseph Silver, Chairman, African Heritage Museum, International Board of Trustees, Your Excellencies, Dr. Erica Bennett, Diaspora Africa Forum Ambassador, dear Ambassador here present, Your Majesties present, honorable and distinguished invitees, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends of the media, it's a pleasure, it's a big pleasure for me to be here on behalf of UNESCO, on behalf of UN. I'm here with the head of the UN family here in Ghana, Charles Abani. Welcome. And we have our elder, Prof. Chambas here, and we are very privileged to be here at the occasion of the launch of this digital museum, which happened 1 year exactly after the sword cutting ceremony for the Pan-African World Heritage Museum. Serious progress have been made, and I want to congratulate Honorable Kojo Yanka and all involved for reaching yet another milestones on the mission of telling the world the true story of the Pan-African heritage. Today marks the African World Heritage Day. It offers us opportunity to reflect on and celebrate the rich and unique cultural and natural heritage of the Africa continent. Today, however, sub-Saharan African countries accounts for only approximately 1/10 of the 1,154 sites inscribed. African heritage, whose exceptional value we celebrate today, is not yet recognized in accordance with its true historic, human, and natural importance. Yes, we are here in Ghana, and you know that Ghana hosts two unique World Heritage sites in the names of the Fort and Castle, Volta, Greater Accra Central and Western Region, and the Asante traditional buildings. On this day, we want to recognize the critical work of all heritage practitioners, experts, and workers, including museum personnel, for the promotion, conservation, preservation, and popularization of Africa's rich and unique heritage. It is also a day to celebrate our museums here in Africa. The past few years significantly impacted museums all around the world, and we are confronted them with critical challenges about the future of our museums. In order to successfully overcome ongoing and future challenges in the post-COVID world, it is crucial for museums to adapt and proactively demonstrate their value to society. This has encouraged museum professionals to experiment with digitalization and new innovate hybrid forms of experiencing and disseminating culture. I'm delighted that the Pan-African World Heritage Museum has chosen to explore this path, and we're looking forward to learning more about Pan-African heritage from the comfort of our homes. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this afternoon to present our unique Pan-African heritage to the world. Indeed, we need to raise awareness, foster promotion, and encourage preservation of Africa's rich heritage, particularly among young people. I am sure you all agree that Africa's heritage can only be preserved in the if the African youth become more involved in its conservation and promotion. They are an asset to the continent and the resource that needs to be unlocked and activated. As with many other things, the first step in education, our children need to be taught about the history of Africa, the rich and diverse shared heritage of the African people in the continent and across the diaspora, and unlearn misconceptions and stereotypes about Africa. Through the flagship program General History of Africa, UNESCO is supporting African countries in reclaiming ownership over the narration of their own history and reviving their cultural identities to strengthen a shared aspiration to achieve African unity. We strongly encourage African and Afro-descendant countries to incorporate this tool into the national curricula. And we are happy that the city of Accra will host next year the UNESCO World Book Capital 2023, following Guadalajara in Mexico this year. This will be a great opportunity for creative people, especially for publishing industry, to draw attention to subjects related to the general history of Africa, its diaspora, and its unique heritage. It is also commendable that the museum has the ambitions to provide an environment to preserve and curate the indigenous knowledge of Africans and people of African descent. Cultural heritage is not just about the physical aspect of culture, such as historical artifacts and buildings that we'll see in the digital museum, but it is also about the traditions, representations, practices, and living expressions of groups and communities' intangible cultural heritage, including traditional knowledge and expression of indigenous cultures, which has been instrumental for Afro-descendants to preserve their African heritage from generation to generation. The different cultures have developed unique ways of thinking, feeling, experiencing, and telling stories across continents and centuries. I would also like to take the opportunity to recognize Ghana's firm's position at the forefront of the Pan-Africanist agenda. You may recall that on 24 January this year, UNESCO, together with partners, convened the global celebration of the World Day for African and Afro-descendant culture in Ghana. The full day event took place here in Accra with participants from all over the world: Africa, Europe, North and South Africa, including the Grammy-nominated and renowned Ghanaian reggae musician Rocky Dawuni. This celebration featured a three-part colloquium under the theme Africa and Afro-descendant culture for peace and sustainable development. This aim was to stimulate an intellectual discourse around critical themes concerning both African and people of African descent, namely the incorporation of the African history and culture in education. And just to share with you, most of you are aware of the recent visit of the UN Under-Secretary General of UNFP Executive Director, Dr. Natalia Kanem, and the Costa Rican Vice President, Her Excellency Epsi Campbell-Barr, to Ghana on the return mission, which also placed issues of people of African descent at the heart of global and national development agenda, working closely with UN. Ghana's commitment to host the World Day for African and Afro-descendant culture provided an excellent platform for the African family to unite and strengthen their ties. And such platforms are not to be taken for granted. One particular and important activity spearheaded by UNESCO is the Biennale of Luanda with Africa Union, with its Pan-African Forum for the Culture of Peace, which take place every 2 years, and festivals such as PanaFest and Beyond the Return Here initiative in Ghana, which are also great forces in promoting Pan-Africanism. All these contribute to the African Union's aspiration, the Agenda 2063, and particularly Aspiration 5, an Africa with a strong cultural identity, common heritage, shared values, and ethics. As we're pursuing this year, actually the 2021 first African Year for Arts, Culture, and Heritage, and as we are approaching the final years of the International Year, the International Decade for People of African Descent, this digital museum will ensure that we do not end the decade without a concrete and comprehensive initiative that will strengthen the protection, safeguarding, and promotion of the rich and invaluable cultural heritage of the Pan-African family. Thank you for giving UNESCO and the UN the opportunity to once express our firm support for this initiative, and we are looking forward to seeing you all next year, next coming years for the grand opening of the physical museum. Thank you very much for your attention. We wish you everyone a happy African World Heritage Day. Merci.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Diallo. We shall continue to walk the heritage path with you and UNESCO. I would now like to present to you 4 recorded messages. The first comes from the African Union Commission in Addis Ababa, and the message is brought to us by the head of the Culture Division, Ms. Angela Martins. The second is from the chairman of the South-South Cooperation Council, based in Cartagena, Colombia, Dr. Victor Sebek. Then the third is from a member of the Advisory Council of the Museum, himself founder of the biggest private museum in Nigeria, Prince Yemis Shilon. And the fourth is from Prince Ifo, founder and president of Young African Leaders Forum. Thank you.
Good morning to you all.
What was it about the continent of Africa that made it possible for
African Union Commission on the occasion of the digital launch of the Pan-African Heritage Museum being constructed in Accra, Ghana, under the patronage of His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana. The digital launching of the Pan-African Heritage Museum today, 5th of May 2022, during the celebrations of the African World Heritage Day, is of great significance to the continent and to the world at large, since, as a continent, we are taking greater steps to promote, profile, and showcase our rich and unique heritage. The Pan-African Heritage Museum, aimed at providing an environment to preserve and curate the unique history, arts, culture, and indigenous knowledge of Africans and people of African descent, is in line with various Pan-African initiatives in this regard, including the establishment of the Great Museum of Africa, a flagship project of the African Union Agenda 2063, to be hosted by the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria on behalf of the continent.
Pleased and honored to give this address of support as a special advisor to the Pan-African Heritage World Museum, a noble enterprise which quite simply has for its aim to restore the awareness of the glory of African continent and of the black race. Colonial masters told the history of Africa, especially sub-Saharan Africa, as a continent without culture prior to the arrival of Europeans. We know that this is an absolute fallacy, and that Africa had a vibrant and distinguished cultural history prior to colonization. Examples abound: the obelisk of Aksum in Ethiopia, 2,000 years old, extraordinary culture of Egypt going back for millennia. The greatest glory of Roman civilization can be found not in Italy, but in Leptis Magna in Libya, as Emperor Tiberius, his mother, was from Libya. University in Fez, arguably the oldest century. Castles of Gondar in Ethiopia, and many, many others are all testimonies of the splendors of African culture. It should also not be forgotten that the planet's oldest emerging human, Lucy, 3.2 million years old, was from Ethiopia. None of this was catalogued in history books, as colonial powers needed an excuse for their expansion. Obliterating Africa's cultural past was an imperative to justify the conquest of Africa. Additionally, colonial borders were frequently drawn with no regard to ethnic diversity, especially in West Africa, which further prevented a surge of pride in national identity and ultimately identity as Africans proud to bask in the glory of their history of culture. Relearning the history, instilling the pride in their history, especially of young Africans, is the primary aim of the museum. It is for this reason that my organization, South-South Cooperation Council, which promotes the exchange of best practices of countries of Global South, appointed the Vice Chair of the museum, Mr. Ladin Islander, as our chair for Africa. We go down to shaping concrete projects whose aim coincide with those of the museum. First, in August 21, we made a docufiction film, Ulysses from Ghana, with Ghanaian actors, co-director, and entire technical crew. It is based on a play of celebrated Ghanaian author Mohamed Abdallah, but also deals with vestiges of modern slavery across the world, Black Lives Matter, and racial discrimination. The film was pre-screened at the Manila Festival on 3rd of April 2022 and is now beginning the tour of international festivals. As a result, 8 more films will be produced in 8 countries, including Africa. We are grateful to the board of the museum, which assisted in the making of this film. Secondly, alarmed by the global insurgence of terrorism in Africa, especially Sahel and Horn of Africa, together with the European Cultural Parliament and with support of governments of Ghana, Kenya, and Colombia, we are in the process of developing an important program, the Culture of Peace and Security in Africa, Quest for Stewardship and Cooperative Engagement. The program will explore the ways in which culture can be used as a tool for peace, especially in case of girls, preventing dropouts from schools and early pregnancy. Our member of African Parliamentary Union from Zimbabwe, Honorable Tafanana Jou, presented a synthesis of the program to the United Nations African Parliamentary Union meeting on fighting terrorism in Africa, which was held in Qatar on 30th and 31st of March 22. I commit myself, both personally and also as chairman of South-South Cooperation Council, to do all in my power to strengthen the Pan-African Heritage World Museum and to working as a catalyst alongside the museum to promote practical sister-to-sister relationships, recognizing not only common challenges but also best practice solutions within the South-South experience, and thus create a renewed environment of mutual understanding and enlightened mutual cooperative socio-economic development.
Thrilled with the prospect of the Pan-African Heritage Museum. The museum, in terms of concept, design, and scope, is very encouraging for people of this continent. I am particularly pleased because the museum is going to offer us the opportunity of justifying the basis for our call for restitution of Africa's long-held ethnographic and cultural objects. The museum will also give us an opportunity to showcase the creativity and the beauty of African art to the world, contributing to our much-desired development in the continent. It is for this reason that I am very thrilled and I'm happy with the upcoming Pan-African Heritage Museum. And on that note, I want to congratulate the people of Ghana, particularly the head of state of Ghana, for their support for this private initiative by Kojo Yanka towards building this museum. I have followed up every development in the realization of the dream for this museum, and I'm pleased with the way the government of Ghana rallied around this private initiative, which has also attracted the Africans in diaspora towards the realization of this world-breaking museum. The museum, with the concept, is going to be a big city on its own. Thank you. Good day.
My name is Prince Aifo. I am the founder of the Young African Leaders Forum, YAF. We are so delighted today about the launch of the Pan-African Heritage Museum in Ghana, Accra, which becomes the first digital museum that is depicting our African ancestry and our African heritage. This for us is a very wonderful project, and when we got the opportunity to partner with the museum and Dr. Kojo Yanka, we were so interested and so passionate about it because we were of the opinion that this Pan-African project is one thing that young people in Africa should be part of. YAF represents a body of young people who are committed to fostering Pan-Africanism in the continent and also preparing a new generation of radical leaders for Africa. And so we believe strongly that this museum is going to serve a very important role in helping us continue to preserve the legacies of our ancestors, the legacies and the numerics, the very basic values that our nationalist founders and our ancestors, our progenitors have laid down, and things that we can follow to promote and continually uphold the originality of Africa. This for us is a very important project. We are so glad to be part of it. We are so glad that this is happening. We really want to thank Mr. Kojo Yanka for making this happen. It's a very excellent project, very excellent and very needed at this time. And we are very conversant, we are very sure that it will help many young people in Africa get to learn what Africa is all about and some of the things that are about our African ancestry and our African heritage. We will continue to do our best as an organization to promote the works of the Pan-African Heritage Museum and to continue to bring young people to the awareness of the things that are happening in the museum. Thank you so much, Dr. Kojo, for this opportunity. We are very glad to partner with you, and we are very glad to partner with PAHM. Thank you so much, and have a very wonderful launch. Thank you.
I thank all the speakers for the beautiful and encouraging messages that we've just heard. But we still have a few more messages from our special guests. And I would like to welcome Mr. Peter Koji, President of the All Africa Students Union. And after him comes the President of the African University College of Communications, Professor Abeku Blankson. And then the representative of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Mr. Anane Nsia. Thank you.
Message from His Excellency Peter Kwesi Koji, the Secretary General of the All Africa Students Union. Your Excellencies, Honorable Chairman, distinguished representatives, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be allowed to deliver a message at the launch of this wonderful initiative to promote and preserve the wonderful history of the African. As you are all aware, this program here today is held to launch the digital version of the Pan-African Heritage Museum under the theme presenting our unique Pan-African heritage to the world. Pan-Africanism was and remains a movement born in struggle, a struggle waged to radically change the condition of Africans on the continent and those in the African diaspora. Its history dates from the 1787, when Prince Hall of African American descent campaigned tirelessly for the return of the impoverished African freed persons back to their home continent. This struggle was later advanced by Paul Kefi, philanthropist, a traveler who anticipated Marcus Garvey's Black Star Line by setting sail with 40 other Black Americans and founded a settlement in Sierra Leone in 1815. The Pan-African movement has also been greatly influenced by several activists, including Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, George Padmore, and W.E.B. Du Bois, among several others. The preservation of this Pan-African movement and history, I believe, is a very important way for us to transmit our understanding of the past to future generations as well as the useful mechanism to pass the baton to the younger generation. History, as we know it, is a great educator and communicator which fosters an individual sense of belonging and pride. The sense of pride and belonging as an African is one that has been deteriorating in this era of globalization, with many of our youth not identifying with their African heritage. As such, as I believe this initiative will foster and advance the sense of belonging and pride of our youth as Africans who share in the history of Pan-Africanism. This unique initiative, I believe, must be maintained for its implementation to satisfy our expectations. It is in this context that I further urge all stakeholders engaged in the drive for Pan-Africanism to consolidate efforts to make the vision and the mission of this initiative a success. I would also like to extend my cordial appreciation to the organizers of this initiative for showing diligent effort and also for choosing Ghana as the location to site the museum. Thanks to you all once again for this amazing opportunity. May Africa be great again. Thank you.
Now we call upon Professor Blankson.
Your Excellencies, Honorable Kojo Yanka, Nana, distinguished guests, our students, AUCC students, ladies and gentlemen, it is my unique pleasure to deliver a message on behalf of the African University College of Communications, AUCC, of which I am the president. The African University College of Communications and the Pan-African Heritage Museum are two great ideas from the depth of an astute and perceptive mind of Honorable Kojo Yanka. These two great ideas are entwined in a special way and are set to revive the African cultural values, setting it on a global pedestal. The African University College of Communications is not merely an African university, but an African university with an ethos and the explicit intent of producing scholars who fully understand, appreciate, and unapologetically manifest their Africanness in all spheres of their lives. Therefore, the university's mantra, "Discover yourself from here," was developed with the aim of creating and deepening student self-awareness as Africans, and in so doing, build their self-confidence in engaging the world. To achieve this goal of self-knowledge, which is the basis of all knowledge, the university has developed a unique Africana Studies program that offers exciting courses in African history, African literature, indigenous knowledge systems in Africa, and also an understanding of the African diaspora as a foundational presence in the creation of civilizations in the Americas and elsewhere in the world. One of the strategic ways AUCC has positioned herself for this unique role of setting up an African-centered educational system is by creating a foundation on which to build a unique African platform through the Kwabena Nkatia Center for Africana Studies. This center at this AUCC is strategically positioned to extend policy directions in terms of public education and dissemination of proceedings and contemporary African social, historical, political, and philosophical thought and accomplishments that the Pan-African Heritage Museum stands for. Time-tested African cultural value systems are to receive renewed vitality through critical research work, as Africans tell their own stories. These will be backed not only by museum artifacts and archaeological evidence and heritage products, but also with innovative legacy gardens, theatrical performances, and intellectual outputs that unmask the new African to continental Africans, Africans in the diaspora, and the rest of the world. Museums in general are situated within the history and culture of a society and serve the purpose of curating, preserving, and educating the society about their heritage. The Pan-African Heritage Museum will thus serve as an important site and source of learning about the proud heritage of peoples of African descent. Therefore, the Africana Studies program of AUCC will collaborate with the museum in many mutually beneficial ways. For instance, it will provide educational support to the museum by developing short courses and certificate programs, researching and teaching about the history and culture of the various African civilizations exhibited at the museum. Also, AUCC students, both here in Ghana and students from abroad, will undertake regular field trips to the Pan-African Heritage Museum as part of the objectives of several of the new courses that we are designing within the Africana Studies program. Indeed, we are convinced that the Pan-African Heritage Museum is taking the awareness of African civilization to a new level, and AUCC, through the Kwabena Nkatia Center for Africana Studies, stands ready as the official mouthpiece in that regard. So on behalf of AUCC, we request the support of all Africans and friends of Africa on this journey. Thank you.
Now I'll call upon Dr. Erika Bennett, Head of Mission, Diaspora Africa Forum. Over to you.
Good evening, good afternoon, good afternoon. And it truly is a good afternoon. My sister, you have been doing a wonderful job coming up and down that stairs. I was looking at you, I said, I know I'm gonna have to get my brother to give me some help. Good afternoon to all of you. Honorable Minister, Representative, Dr. Eben Chambers, my brother, my dynamic brother, distinguished panel and speakers. I stand on all existing protocols. My sister, Dr. Tony Luck. And we bring warm greetings on behalf of the Diaspora Africa Forum. It is a great honor to be here today on the launching of this first ever Digital Pan-African Heritage Museum. And on this very significant day, Africa World Heritage Day, my brother has done a wonderful job in terms of keeping that movement going here all over the world, and we really salute you for that. Our distinguished speakers already talked about Pan-Africanism and the importance of this museum. So I won't talk about that. What I choose to talk about today is who a Pan-Africanist really is. What does that really, really mean? And when I think about that, I look, and it needs to be in the dictionary, a picture of Honorable Kojo Yanka. He is truly an example of what we're talking about. You see, when you think about a person who has dedicated its life to supporting Black people all over the world, and who has really made personal sacrifices, and who really believes in what he's doing, That is Kojo Yanka. You see, W.E.B. Du Bois, who someone mentioned earlier, is considered the father of Pan-Africanism. But I see Honorable Kojo Yanka as continuing his legacy. This museum is an example of what we're talking about. You see, we're telling our own story in our own way. And that's what we've got to do today, is tell our own story in our own way. You see, everybody who knows me, then they know I'm going to talk about this flag. This is the 6th region Diaspora flag. And we're certainly hoping that it's going to be featured in the museum as well. It was created by Professor Kwame Addo, who is a brilliant architect, and we call him an avatar because he just creates wonderful, wonderful things. And he created this flag, and we have launched it all over already. We launched it in Nigeria, we launched it in London, we launched it in Dubai, and we're getting ready to launch it in Panama in a couple weeks. So this is the kind of museum that can house these kinds of things that really talk about who we are. In closing, those of you who know I speak very briefly and I get off the stage. And so in closing, I just really want to say we need more Kojo Yankas in Africa. We need real Pan-Africans. So let's give him a big, big round of applause. God bless Ghana. God bless Africa. We salute Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rika. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, now in building our climax to the top of our program, we reserved 2 short messages to be delivered at this time. They are coming from 2 other patrons, the ex-president of Botswana, His Excellency Seretse Ian Khama, who is also an Asante Hini in Botswana, and the head of one of the most powerful kingdoms in Africa, His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, who is also the Asante Hini. I'm so proud to be introducing the Asante Hinis to Africa today. Otoi Kufu's message will be delivered by Nana Soso Biribi Asante Osokrohini. Thank you.
I'm delighted to be invited to serve the continent of Africa and its diaspora as patron of the Pan-African Heritage Museum, alongside very eminent personalities. I congratulate President Akufo-Addo for endorsing and supporting this massive project in Ghana. I also salute all the other patrons whom I'll be working with in this iconic museum. As a lover of the preservation and conservation of our rich heritage, I see the Pan-African Heritage Museum as one major legacy our youth should benefit from. The galleries containing the ancient civilization of our great continent and its people, the history of our ancient and modern kingdoms, our herbal plants, our cuisines, and our arts should be of great educational benefit to all people of African descent. I pledge my full commitment to ensuring that we give all maximum encouragement to the organizers and management of the museum to attain the set goals that we intend to achieve. Thank you for your attention.
Now I hand over to Nana.
Mr. Chairman, I have to start by making it clear to everybody that I'm not the Asante Hene. I'm only a representative of the Asante Hene. I'm here to read his message, but I can't resist the temptation to remark that our chairman, Professor Opoku, and I were at Yale University nearly 60 years ago. He studied divinity and then became a specialist on African religion. I studied law. I'm now a chief. So we are all paving the way for African heritage. And now, the message from His Majesty Otumfuo Osei II, Asante Hene. I am very delighted to welcome the development of a world-class Pan-African Heritage World Museum on the continent of Africa, more especially in Ghana. I have no hesitation in congratulating the originators and promoters of such an excellent idea. We in Africa have always had to rely on stories about ourselves, written and told by others. Even our own cultural habits and manifestations have become topics of great interest to others who otherwise had wanted total control over us. The story of Asante resistance to foreign occupation and attempts to dominate our culture has not been fully told. It is time to support the writing of our stories by our own people. The current situation where our kith and kin in various parts of the world are yearning to come back home, not just for tourism, but for cultural and spiritual immersion, calls for a conscious effort to help us in the traditional settings to uphold and protect all the rich cultural values and practices which form the basis for true development. I totally endorse this Pan-African Heritage Museum project and wish all success in this laudable project. And before I conclude, I would also like to pay my tribute to Kojo Yanka. He has been in this business for a long time. Some years ago, he invited me to chair the inauguration of the Kobnakatia Center for African Studies at his university, and I'm now here joining in inaugurating this museum. Thank you, Kojo, and thank everybody.
Two beautiful messages from our Asante Hinis. Thank you, Nana, and please extend our sincere appreciation and respect to His Majesty the Asante Hini. We are getting there. I hope you all know that the first patron of the Pan-African Heritage Museum is Ghana's president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. His chief advisor in tourism, arts and culture, to whom he has entrusted the responsibility to ensure that this project becomes a reality, is Honorable Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal. Okay, and I understand he's not here, but his representative is here. Honorable, I didn't care. Mark Okweku Mange. Sorry. Okay, over to you, Honorable. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, Honorable. Thank you.
Hello. I just want to say good afternoon to her. His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers, Chairman ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Task Force, former UN Secretary, Dr. Diallo, Head of Office, UNESCO, Nananom, CEO of GMMB, Executive Director, National Commission on Culture. I see Rabbi, I see the media, and all other protocols observed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from my boss, the Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture, Dr. Awal Mohammed. Having attained great successes in the year of return and beyond the return initiatives that made Ghana the center of global attention, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, recently launched Destination Ghana as the next phase of this unique diasporan engagement, which seeks to invite more diasporans to come back home and connect with their roots. But for the very idea of connecting goes beyond destination tourism and initiatives like the Pan-African Heritage Museum, which will invariably connect Africa to the rest of the world, is a truly praiseworthy enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, we at the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture and all the agencies under us are particularly elated by the fact that the physical Pan-African Heritage Museum edifice shall be sited in Ghana. But for what excites us most, being children of the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, lovers of digitization, I'm sure you all know what I'm going to talk about. Now that we have the Pan-African Heritage Museum, digitally or online, which is going to be the first of its kind, I think that we are all proud to be Ghanaians on a day like this. This will, among other things, allow the world to see Ghana and Africa in a new and exciting ways that redefine interactivity and convenience in a modern day virtual tour experience. A virtual museum experience, we believe, will attract more people to the physical location when it eventually comes up to align with the President's vision of making Ghana the ultimate destination of choice. Having removed the barrier of time and geographical location, the digitized museum affords the arts enthusiasts an opportunity to experience our heritage and culture any day, any time, and from any part of the world. Mr. Chairman, in the creative sector, we believe that art encompasses much more than what you see on museum walls. Yes, the virtual experience may not be able to replace the real life experience of being in the physical structure, but it can surely enhance it. There is no better way to celebrate African World Heritage Day as declared by UNESCO to give opportunity for people of the world, and particularly of Africa, to celebrate the continent's unique cultural and natural heritage. I say big congratulations to the Pan-African Heritage World Museum Foundation, and particularly to my big brother, Uncle Mr. Kojo Yanka, founder and executive chairman of the project, and to all the patrons who have committed time and resources to ensure that we take full control of the African narrative and make our continent easily accessible to the rest of the world. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Honorable. That's a beautiful message from the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, the parent body. On behalf of the International Board of the Museum, I wish to thank you so much for the inspiring speech from the Ministry of Tourism and Culture. It's very important. Now I will hand over to the Executive Vice Chairman of the Pan-African Heritage World Museum, Mr. Ladi. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I have ever addressed or will ever address so many excellencies ever in one place. So today is my moment. I'd like to say special greetings to Nana Asokorene, my eldest sister, about 10 years older than me. Anytime your name came up, she would say, "Oh, he was my classmate." That was her claim to fame. Well, it gives me great pleasure to stand on behalf of the founder and executive chairman and the entire executive council of the Pan-African Heritage World Museum to announce that we have unanimously agreed to confer the title of patron on yet another distinguished African personality. He joins other previous eminent personalities on whom the organization has honored for their love and commitment to the Pan-African cause. Currently, the list includes His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, His Majesty Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ojaja II, Oni of Ife in Nigeria, His Royal Majesty Kimera Muwenda Mutebi II, the Kabaka of Uganda in Uganda, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, Asante Ini of Ghana, Sir Dr. Sam Jonah of Ghana, Dr. Mamfela Ramfeli, a Pan-African and anti-apartheid activist from South Africa, and until very recently, before he passed, I think just last week, His Majesty Oba Lamidi Adeyemi III, Alafin of Oyo in Nigeria. Today, the honor falls on a long-serving, eminent international diplomat. I have known him for 50 years, and I don't see why I'm being restricted to 3 minutes to talk about him. Today, the honor falls on long-serving, eminent international diplomat, cultural activist, and Pan-Africanist, until recently the representative of the UN Secretary General in West Africa. He now is about to sort out the problems of the liberalization of trade in West Africa, and I'm sure that he's going to work his magic there. He happens to be our special guest of honor on this special Africa World Heritage Day. Please join me to welcome our latest patron, Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers. I need to read a citation.
Okay, it's a special day for us to celebrate, to smile, honestly, because Africa is doing a magical thing today, presenting to the world the Pan-African World Museum. Thank you.
I have actually already read it, but this is the citation for him. His nice photo is here, and the citation is signed by Professor Kujuyanka, the founder, and then Professor Kofi Asare Opoku. I must say that Professor Opoku taught me, Kujuyanka, Dr. Ibn Chambers 50 years ago.
That was a surprise, but I very much appreciate it. I have to call him my senior because he was my senior boy in school. Senior Ladi, thank you so very much for this presentation. Chairman, our venerable professor, we all learned at his feet when we were at Legon, and he has continued all this time, even at the young age of 89, to illuminate the way. We are very, very honored and pleased that you are chairing this historic event. Let me also recognize all the excellencies and honorable personalities gathered here, including, of course, Nana. Nana, who has also been an inspiration, not only in the legal field, but actually as far as upholding our African traditional cultures and values are concerned. Nana, we are very proud and we are happy that you are here with us. Observing all protocols, I am honored to have been given this opportunity to deliver the keynote address on this auspicious occasion. The choice of Accra for the digital launch of the Pan-African Heritage Museum is befitting, as it is the final resting place of three intellectual giants, founding fathers of Pan-Africanism, namely Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, and George Padmore. I consider it a pleasant task, but this is now the simplest of tasks, as my speech is preceded by those of so many experts and renowned authorities on African heritage, its history, culture, arts, language, music, dance, name it. But allow me to acknowledge Honorable Kojo Yankah for bringing together such an impressive and formidable team to undertake this historically and culturally significant project. The sheer magnitude of pulling all of this together demonstrates the strong commitment of Kojo, as I fondly call him, Uncle Kojo indeed, and the team of Pan-African luminaries associated with this magnificent Pan-African Heritage Museum project. I also want to acknowledge the strong support of the government of Ghana and the personal interest of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, for the Pan-African Heritage Museum. We are reminded that the sword-cutting event for the building of the physical museum was undertaken by none other than the President himself exactly a year ago, and that he is the first patron of the Pan-African Heritage Museum. Mr. President, the Pan-African Museum initiative is aimed at ensuring that Africa's rich cultural heritage, the heritage of Africans and people of African descent, assumes its rightful place in the global heritage. There are 4 reasons why this is important. First, Africa is the cradle of both Homo sapiens and one of the earliest civilizations, that of Egypt. And we have been reminded about this today by a number of earlier speakers. Second, the present anomaly, where still very few of the sites on the World Heritage List are African, needs to be rectified. And I think our brother Diallo has told us that only 10% of more than 1,000 World Heritage sites are listed in Africa. That is something to be corrected. Third, persistent racism and denial of Africa's rightful place in history and knowledge can be corrected through projects such as this. And 4, to counter the pervasive influence of other cultures in Africa to the detriment of our African heritage, our African personality, especially among the youth. This Pan-African Heritage Museum project is most timely. Sheikh Anta Diop reminds us of the dedicated targeting of African sociocultural foundations as a key tenet of the colonial intrusion when he says, and I quote, "Imperialism, like the prehistoric hunter, first killed the being spiritually and culturally before trying to eliminate it physically," end of quote. He reiterated the primacy of restoring the sociocultural memory of Africans everywhere as a starting point of broader efforts to challenge the imbalance of power that characterizes the world. The project we launch and celebrate today steps directly into the restorative mandate issued by foundational Pan-African thinkers such as Diop and Nkrumah, thus creating firmer grounds upon which a contemporary sense of Pan-African identity can be constructed. We are today renewing our collective resolve and duty to revive and sustain Pan-African heritage. We are engaging in an active restoration of a legacy that has been consistently diminished and delegitimized. We are reminded time again that a renaissance of Pan-African heritage is imperative. It will entail an open challenge to the omnipresent specter of cultural neocolonialism that has cast a long shadow over the present socio-cultural and geopolitical configurations of the world. To present this heritage is to reassert our ownership of our own story. As Professor Opoku has reminded us, that the lion also needs to tell its story. We shouldn't always listen to the side of the hunter. Of the signs, symbols, and concrete physical representations of our collective histories. To present Pan-African heritage is to preserve it for future generations of Africans, both on the home continent and in the diaspora, and provide them with a stronger sense of their own groundings. Let me emphasize that the Pan-African heritage is simultaneously characterized by commonality and difference. The great Jamaican reggae musician Peter Tosh put it simply and directly in one of his songs when he sang, "No matter where you come from, as long as you're black, you are an African." We are one African people tied together by a common destiny. This is why some of us deemed it appropriate when the African Union recognized the African diaspora in its constitutive act as one of its integral regions. And we're very blessed to have with us our sister, Dr. Erica Bennett, who, along with other brothers and sisters in the diaspora, fought for this to become a reality. We salute you. The initiatives that we celebrate this afternoon help us reckon with the inherent tension of unity in diversity and arrive at the means through which we are able to adequately capture the shared elements of the African experience without ignoring the profound individuality of its specific constituent traditions in the different parts of the world where we find ourselves. In attempting to trace the Pan-African heritage, the story we craft is a multifaceted one, acknowledging the multi-genre reflections of deep legacies of cosmological and philosophical thought, critical innovations, and societies evolving through time. Today's world opens up potential avenues of engagement which afford us with new and exciting platforms for the advancement of Pan-Africanism in all its manifestations. The virtual world presents itself as an inherently democratized forum with a unique ability to reach the broadest possible audience. I would like once again to specifically commend Uncle Kojo and the gathering of eminence that constitute the Pan-African Museum team for the ingenuity, creativity, and boldness underlying their use of digital curation. It is heartening to see such an open acknowledgement of new technologies, and I think the Deputy Minister referred to this, and to see the team taking full advantage of digital space by prioritizing it as an integral part of its rollout. Finally, I look forward to seeing the impact of this project going forward and hope it will inspire others to pick up the mantle of preserving and protecting Pan-African heritage for years to come. Long live Ghana, the Black Star of Africa. Long live Africa. Long live the African diaspora. Long live Pan-Africanism. Forward together, backwards never.
I am thrilled I'm inspired by the fact that the African space and the museum space are being decolonized. Listening to all the speeches here, I have no words to describe how privileged we are to have such an inspirational message from one of Africa's distinguished international personalities. Thank you again, Dr. Chambers. Now is the time to hear the closing remarks from our founding father of this museum, the true African, the son of the soil, founder and executive chairperson, Honorable Kojo Yanka. He's currently on the road, globetrotting, promoting the museum and fundraising. Let's hear him now. Thank you.
Distinguished citizens of the world, I'm humbled by your presence at today's launch of the first ever digital Pan-African Heritage Museum. I salute UNESCO for giving us a day to remind the world about the importance of heritage. I thank all of you who spoke and those of you who sent messages at this event. On behalf of our patrons, Advisory Board, Executive Council, Academic Council, Curatorial Board, International Board of Trustees, and all the numerous committees and teams working on this project throughout the world, I wish to publicly appreciate the encouragement we have received and continue to receive from the President of the Republic of Ghana and the government of Ghana as a whole. We equally wish to show gratitude to UNESCO, the African Union Commission, the diplomatic community in Ghana, the South-South Cooperation Council, the International Council on Monuments and Sites, the Association of African American Museums, the various youth movements in Africa, and the general donor community for opening your doors to us. The project you've participated in launching today is a transformational one. We see it as a generational mission to leave a legacy to the youth and coming generations. We believe that this world will be a better place if every human being is fed with the truth about themselves, simply about their heritage. Today, technology allows us to search quicker for information about ourselves and disseminate it like never before. By entering our digital museum and inviting others to do likewise, you are not only adding to your wealth of knowledge about the world, you will be contributing to create a better humanity. Definitely, your appetite to visit Ghana to experience Africa's heritage within our 10-acre physical space near Winneba Junction on your way from Accra to Cape Coast will be heightened when we finish construction scheduled for August 2023. Through our digital museum, we are offering two parts of our rich heritage to the world. In the third gallery, we jump over our narrative and give the world a glimpse of the contemporary Pan-African community which is spread in all corners of the world. This is one exciting gallery you would love to visit. On August 31st, when we hold our second international conference and commemorate the United Nations declared International Day for People of African Descent, we'll meet again to launch the second part of our unique museum. Eventually, we aim to educate, to heal, and to inspire generations. For now, invite your family, friends, club members, office colleagues, teachers, scholars, students to our website, www.pahmuseum.org. You will be proud and happy you did. It is now my pleasure and pride to welcome you to the digital world of the Pan-African Heritage Museum. I thank you.
We thank Honorable Kojo for that speech, very encouraging, and it says it all. And now, distinguished excellencies, invited guests, and all our audiences online, and UNESCO especially, thank you all for making the Africa World Heritage Day a huge success. Join us on our website, www.panafricanheritagemuseum.org. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
History is a clock people use to tell the time of day. The history of a people should tell them who they are as a people, where they come from, what they have accomplished, and what they must accomplish. Since the beginning of humanity in Africa, from where our ancestors emerged, humans have sought answers about origins. Who are we? Where do we come from? How did the world begin? Their answers to these questions form the core of their communal identities. As human societies sought to ground contemporary experiences in the past and explain the familiar through stories, they come to define their places in the world through narratives. These narratives speak of creation, beliefs, and cosmogonies, which tell how the cosmos was created from a primal state. These narratives also speak of origin, which explain how extended families, social institutions, cultures, and humanity itself came into being. We may argue then that Africa is not only where our human ancestors developed, but also the front from which all human cultural traditions flowed. The idea of origin is prevalent in all human societies. However, only Africa can claim the origin of the species we now call human. Thus, the importance of its ideas about creation of both the world and humanity. And now, the story of creation from the Azande narrative.
Mbori created the universe long before the memory of any living being. Mbori is already invisible and seen in all creations, such as humans, the rivers, the mountains, the forests, and the savannas. Mbori created the universe of humans and animals at the same time and put the entire creation into a round canoe, which was shut tightly with one small entrance sealed with wax. A message was sent to Mbori's children, the sun, the moon, the night, the cold, the day, and the stars, telling them to come quickly to prevent the death of Mbori. The sun alone treated the messenger appropriately, and so the secret of the concealed entrance to the canoe containing the creation was revealed only to the sun. This is the creation narrative of the Azande people.
African civilizations, it all begins along the Nile. Parallel to the shores of the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, the Nile Valley stretches south of the 8th parallel north and as far as the Mediterranean. It crosses valleys starting in the Great Lakes region of Central Africa, with the most distant source in southern Rwanda, flowing north from there through Tanzania, Nyanza, Lake Victoria, Uganda, and southern Sudan. It gave birth to Abyei, the Blue Nile, at Lake Tana in Ethiopia, and flows into Sudan from the southeast, uniting Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. Itiro swells through the Chad regions of the Tibesti and Inedi, the Libyan Oasis, and the Suez Isthmus, carving wide access to the Mediterranean, thus open to east and west, south and north, and the Itiro corridor was a zone of privileged contact, not only between the African regions bordering it, but also with the more distant centers of the ancient civilization of the Arabian Peninsula, the Indian Ocean, and the Mediterranean world, west to east. The Nile was born around 30 million years ago, driven by the motion of Earth's mantle, the thick layer of rock between the Earth's core and crust. Its geographical position at the northeastern corner of the continent gifted it with the importance and advantages of becoming the site where Africans created the great civilizations of Kemet, Egypt, and Ta Seti, Nubia. This is the story of the civilizations along this 4,180 miles corridor. The question of the belonging of the civilization of Kemet, ancient Egypt, has been debated, contested, and mitigated. The colonial ideology that graded the field of Egyptology detached this most brilliant of the ancient civilizations of humanity from the continent to make it Eastern. Scientists of African descent have set the record straight, so much so that no serious specialist takes the risk of questioning the Kemet origin of this ancient civilization. Yet, there are still naysayers who, faced with mounting evidence, continue hiding under euphemisms such as ancient Kemet was African, but just on the cultural aspect. They are heirs to a long tradition. As early as 1895, Gaston Maspero, in his Ancient History of the Peoples of the East, the Origins, Egypt, and Chaldea, placed the Kemetic civilization out of Africa and confidently asserted that the peoples of Kemet had lost very early memory of their origins and that their physiognomy, far from offering peculiarities or general aspects of the black, had the most beautiful analogy with the beautiful white races of Europe and Western Asia.
This is a story that tells the interconnectedness of art and life in Africa. It is evidenced in many African cosmologies that not only trace the origin of art to a high god or supreme divinity, but also identify the human body as a piece of sculpture animated by vital force. Babatunde Lawal said that African societies so valued art that they speak of the human as amegbeto, a modeled living clay, in the language of the Ewe people of Ghana and Togo. Such conception of the human as a work of art, which sees him or her as modeled living clay, calls for an understanding in which the human as a work of art transcends death for other existences. This multi-dimensional human, because a work of art, is then capable of dematerialization from the physical to the metaphysical, or reincarnation. This multidimensional human, because a work of art, is then capable of dematerialization from the physical to the metaphysical, of reincarnation as a new baby, or even reappearing in other dimension. These artworks are then forges from which Africa builds the humans, endowing them with all the necessary knowledge for the Homo sapiens from Africa to begin the great migration through which they gave birth to humanity. These works transcend their consideration as art. They are vital forces incarnate and burden the very notion of being through the supreme divinity, which itself is understood as an art maker. They are expressions of an African genesis which speaks of the origin of the living being by the supreme divinity, sculpting or molding or drawing our coming to be. These works are then granaries of memory containers and contents whose presence is fundamental to the vitality of their societies. These codes, the codes, signs and symbols embedded in them formed the scientific capital of African societies. Through these works, we constructed a cosmogony, tracing our existence to the supreme divinity, as in the Yoruba, from whom Olodumare, God, the supreme, commissioned the creativity deity Obatala to mold the first human image from clay. We see here, act at the beginning, God's making of humans, a commissioned artwork. These objects of culture, of ontological significance, tell their creators who they are, what are the sources of the origin of the advanced creativity which, beyond the sacred, marked later periods and fields of expression.
Welcome to the Pan-African Contemporaneities. This visual story is one that has not yet been told, not because there is no storyteller to tell it, but because it exists only in fragments, each fragment asserting its own autonomous existence in remembering Pan-Africa. It is the story of visual artists who defy their otherness and enter the realm of mainstream art history, not only to lay their historical claim on it, but also to challenge the framework which defines and polices its boundaries. This exhibition engages African artists on the continent and the diaspora in their articulations of the lines of continuities, highlighting once more that we do not cease to be related simply because we were separated by oceans and deserts. Would it be possible to inscribe this story in the master narrative of contemporary art history? Would this not produce an irresolvable contradiction, a slap in the face of Hegelian metaphysics? Isn't the history of art still being written according to a European history framework in which only the European subject is privileged? And is it not that this privilege is achieved by arbitrary removal of other people's history and cultures from the dynamics of historical continuities? Contemporary Pan-Africa's concern is not to denounce the unicentric ideology, but rather to interrogate the nature of its narratives, to reveal the underlying myth which disguises those contradictions inherent in its aim, aesthetically, historically, and epistemologically. Pan-African arts have been fragmented in nationalities and geographic locations, yet despite their historical experiences of oppression and their resistance to it, they have produced trends and groundbreaking aesthetics that inspired global world movements from modernism to the contemporary. This exhibition strives to articulate the linkages inherent in Pan-Africanism. It builds on the spiritual and the political to revivify a culture in which the transnational nature of the Black experience removes the constraints, both physical and psychological. Pan-Africanism offers the theoretical superstructure, a place for articulation, a site, and a policy of representation, seen here as the junction of contemporary processes, which not only oppose the hegemonic models created by Western modernity, but also pose as alternatives to them. Pan-African contemporaneity is then a model for knowledge exchange between different geopolitical territories, for access to different types of knowledge through different points of connection, as well as for the possibility of taking part in joint discussions.
This is a story that tells the interconnectedness of art and life in Africa.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've enjoyed exploring our digital museum, and this brings us to the end of our program. And there are some refreshments somewhere. The ushers will be ready to lead us there. Thank you. Bye.